Good morning again, dear brothers and sisters. It is my honor and great pleasure to introduce you to a very hard worker, a person of deep knowledge and of tireless dedication, always ready to care and help, and whose precious advice have enriched and will enrich and enlighten all of us for a long, long time. She is Tran-Thi-Kim-Dieu, that is member of TS France since 1972. She is a postgraduate in pharmaceutical technology, and she is the chairperson of the European Federation of Theosophical Societies and former president of TS France. She travels widely to encourage cooperation and promulgate the teachings, as well as to share experience in the service of the Theosophical Society. Her main concern is to promote a new way of living, where each human life can be guided by universal ethics and the mystic dimension of consciousness. So please, Kim-Dieu.
Good morning to all. Here in this auditorium in presence and online. Hello to all of you. Thank you very much for Patricia. Not make it too short and too long, because generally I measure my age with the lens of the bio. So thank you very much. During those past days, all of us have benefited from many, many inspiring thoughts and reflections. We have learned, clearly stated out with our president sharing, that all of us can be healers. Now the question is whether we want, we wish, or we don't want, or we don't wish. The question is very important because with the motivation, one can remove mountains and shape the earth. And we learn also with other speakers, our doctor here, Janne, Jonon Virta, where is he? Okay. He explained us the process and how to go through it. And the final word is to love. I hope that my memory is still alive. So the last word is love. Now I would like to propose to you to go deeper in this, to see the process of the healing in ourselves, because it is a process and it depends upon whether we want or we don't. If we don't, then there is no question to ask. We wish, it is milder, but if we want, certainly the effort should be given to go deeper and to understand. Every one of us coming here is interested with the theme, healing oneself, healing the world. Why shouldn't we put healing the world and healing oneself? Somehow we would have felt that it would not be right. Somewhere in the bottom of our soul, we feel that we belong to the world. We are living in the world, perhaps without belonging to it, but we are part of the world. Not the only part, but it is an integrated part, meaning that we are part of it, not looking as a kind of duality, we look at the word and we say, I am part of the word. No, I am in the word and I am the word. So are you. Meaning that the word cannot be healed with all its suffering, its sorrow, etc., without us, each one of us, you, I, learns to heal ourselves. And nobody can deny that every one of us, everyone, no exception made for this, every one of us has suffered in life, in a way or another. Mildly, because you have perhaps a good karma, a good skandhas, or very intensely, if you have the temperament of living things with passion. So Jung was completely right. He's not completely right, but in this field, he's right to say, unless you go through the inferno of suffering, you cannot know how to heal it. I would say not how to know to heal it, but if you don't go through the inferno of suffering, you would not desire or want to go out of it. And the desire does not mean that you are going to succeed to do it. The success will depend upon your effort, your method, and your willingness, and also a kind of paradigm which you will have set up in your mind. Because all of us wish to stop suffering, because it is absurd. Well, absurd, but still possible, because some people would like to continue to suffer. Can you imagine that? Because it is the foundation of their own ego. When they start talking with you, they start to say, oh, you know, I have suffered this, and do you understand? Can you imagine my life? It's okay, okay. This is a human life, normal. And I would not answer to them that it is normal. No, it is not normal. It is normal that you have undergone some experience of suffering. It is normal. Now, it is not normal that continuously you are keeping this memory and then make it a kind of stock for your use, or even a capital, as a financial capital, you put in a saving, and every time you need, you pick out of it. And it is like a kind of, all of us can see it as an absurdity, but the people who live in it, they like it. Otherwise, they would not repeat the whole story. Okay, so this is a distortion that our brother Janet would have seen many times in his job. Say that it is I am a very important person because I have suffered a lot, certainly more than you. You are listening to me, but you don't know what I have undergone. You know all this. So the big question is, do I want to get out of this mud of suffering? And what is sorrow? What is suffering? Normal people, normal in inverted commas, would say, well, suffering is the lot of humans. Yes, we are still humans, but we tend to surpass this state. Meaning that if we want to surpass the state of humanity, we have to solve also the problem of sorrow and suffering. Means have been given to us, mainly by Gautama the Buddha, who is, according to the Theosophical teaching, is the master, the instructor of our time. In order to produce the next Buddha, Maitreya the Buddha, if I have the time, I will have say you a few words to clear up in some dogma in our mind. So then the main instructor of our time, of our race, of the round here, is Gautama the Buddha. So, of course, he taught us this big lesson that suffering is there, the cause of suffering, how to solve this, and the way to solve it. All of us know the fourth noble truth, everyone. If you don't, then please refer to it to have the basis of our understanding. Now, out of it, he said two things I want to share with you. We have the tendency to complain. How is it that it happens to me, not another one? And then I should have more and should have less. Of course, more of pleasure and less of suffering. You understand? So he said, you want to know your past? All of us want to know our past. And not in the sense of you were Cleopatra, there are many. Nobody came to me and say, you see, at that time, I was a sweeper in the, no, the one who came to me, Cleopatra, Madame Blavatsky, many, Annie Besant, a few, because she's less known. And well, so there are many, many Cleopatras. Well, generally speaking, to my very, very big curiosity, less gentlemen in the past were claimed. Very, very less, a less number would say, I am Marc Antoine, and I was, I would say, a connectant, whatever, but less. Certainly because we are influenced by physical beauty. And it is a good thing to be influenced by beauty, because this is the one dimension of life. Okay, so then the Buddha says, if you want to know your past, look at what you are now in the mind. You can just guess what you have been doing in the past, because those actions you have done in the past produced the skandhas. I'm very glad that this word is now used very frequently in the public and in the Theosophical circle. It is very important. So in the past, you have done many things. It produced a sum of skandha. This will shape you in your psychic personality. And then if you want to know what you will be in the future, just look at what you are doing now. Meaning everything you are doing now contribute to setting up your future skandhas. Okay? So have fun, just the dose that is needed to relax. But if you go too far, then in the next life, you have a kind of a piece of representative of fun. Okay? So this is always the key word is balance, harmony, equilibrium in a dynamic way. So you know how to get back to your past, how to go up to the future, easy. Not Cleopatra, not, I don't know, the next Martian landing on Mars, but it is enough for us because all is in the mind. I'm very glad also to hear that many speakers mention the mind as the source of the problem. Now, Buddha said also another thing, which I found absolutely sublime, is that suffering is everywhere. You look everywhere, you can see. And there is no epoch of time where you don't see suffering. Yeah? Suffering is everywhere, but there is no sufferer. There is no sufferer. Why is it? You said it is absurd. Suffering is there. You see the bombarding in Vietnam, the bombarding now in Ukraine, and you say, well, some more things that we have forgotten in our little mind because we see all the media showing us horrible things. And you say, oh, this. But calm down. You say, yes, suffering is everywhere, even in yourself. But there is no sufferer. Why? It is so important that if you understand this, you will never suffer again. Why is it so? There is a sufferer when there is identification with suffering. I was very struck by a little boy of 4 when I met. This is one of the children of my friends. He came home with his parents and exhausted. He sat in the sofa and he said, my stomach is hungry. I said, 4 years old, what is it? He must be a Rinpoche in his life, the past life, because the capacity of separating, distancing from the feeling, the sensation of hunger and himself. Instead of saying, I am hungry, usually we say it, I am hungry, I am starving, I am what and what, I am this, I am that, I am this boy of 4 said, my stomach is hungry. I said, wow, so you know how to meditate? He said, yes, in school they taught me how to meditate. And then they said, cross leg and like that. I said, well, this is going to our future Buddha. And it is like that. More and more you will see. Because there is a trend of education to catch up the delay. Because they have seen so many mistakes made. And then they are now facing all the problems out of this. So how to solve? So solve it at the origin of the thing. At kindergarten, they taught meditation. They taught, well, it is in Switzerland, huh? Not in France, neither in Italy. Perhaps it will come. So anyhow, there is suffering, there is no sufferer. You want to be a sufferer? You are a sufferer, but you are unconscious of that. Because you are unconscious when you say, I am, I suffer, I am this, I am that. Can we learn the lesson to make a distance between the sensation and ourselves? It does not mean that we are practicing escapism, meaning that it's just I escape from this. I deny that I am suffering, but still I deny the thing that I have confirmed before. Don't jump into this identification so you don't have to deny. So we go down, 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 deep down, and then up, up, up to the finer and subtler feeling and resolution of the problems, because it is a big problem for humanity. So then, despite the fact that they are suffering everywhere, there is no sufferer. Now, when I talk about beyond suffering, I didn't want to make it a burden, heavier, but I would think that it would be beyond sorrow. Self-suffering includes everything. The sorrow of the soul, the suffering of the physical body, etc., etc. When you have a surgery concerning the bone, you will see and you will understand what is suffering in the body is, because it is the core of our body. If you have just a surgeon about appendicitis, okay, some stitches is okay, but when you touch the bone, you can see what is suffering. And this is a big lesson to learn, to see the suffering is there, but you are not this suffering. You are witnessing it. You're always witnessing, but not identification with the thing. And one of the Krishnamurti's saying is really also sublime. He was asked, who are you, sir? On the some years before his passing. He said, who are you? Because he is the mystery for us. Who are you? He said, sir, I am just a passerby. A great man in our eyes, the word teacher, as Annie Besant foresaw it, not in the sense that she wanted to be, but he is a great instructor, teacher. So he said, I'm just a passerby. Can we learn to be just a passerby in life? Witnessing, being aware of everything, everywhere which occurs outside, Of course, we see the wars, we see the sufferings, we see everything, and the happiness also of happy people. And we can see also inside, because all of us certainly have undergone some experiences of heartbroken. And this is a big lesson when we feel really our heart broken. It is a big opportunity because we have to put it together again to have a living heart. And when we succeed, there's something as a miracle coming to our own life, consciousness, etc., etc. And this is a spiritual path. I mean that when we walk on this path, we can be very conscious when turning points are taken place there. And because sometimes we are at the crossroad, what and what and what. And then here a big lesson is to be learned. Learn the lesson of a choiceless mind. Because the mind is so trained to have two solutions, either yes or no. Now we have to learn the lesson to include neither yes nor no, or and yes and no. Meaning that then if we learn this lesson, we can accept all, as Barry Thompson said humorously. We don't have any opposition, but it doesn't mean that we have become a kind of piece of vegetable. We are all conscious, but we are passerby. We are no longer a sufferer. Although that we can feel the sorrow passing, the suffering of the physical body passing, and that's it, that we are the eternal there, always witnessing. Okay? So how to do it? This is the next question because it sounds like a very angelic. We feel it is perfect. This is the perfect word. There is still suffering, but there is no sufferer. So people make the word. So if there is no sufferer, it is a kind of paradise. How to get to it? First question, do I get pleasure in my own suffering to be a sufferer? Well, all the therapists in this auditorium, or psychiatrists, doctors, you realize that some people really, they take pleasure in being a sufferer. Change the paradigm. And if you say, I am not the sufferer, it is the same. So don't say I am something. It just say, witness without saying I am or I am not. Because since you say I am, you are done. Finished. I am not, you are finished also. And in the meditation of Jenny, I appreciate when she said, you know, close your eyes and then just feel I. This is what Ramana Maharshi advised. Said, who are you? Just I, meaning the consciousness of being. The I is the consciousness of being, not I am this. When you say I am Brahman, you are done. I am the Buddha, I'm done. So just I. This state of being eternal and always becoming, but never stopping at a certain state. It is going on. And don't say that I am this state. You are done also. Just witness this. Witness it. It is always evolving, living. This is the living, the life, alive living in ourselves, in each one of us. It is called living consciousness. And the other day, I start to say, and it is everyone is in agreement in this auditorium, that everything starts in the mind. The war starts in the mind, peace starts in the mind, friendship starts in the mind, hate, love, etc., it starts in the mind. So action starts in the mind. The mind is always moving. Moving, what is the mind? The mind is just a particular condition of consciousness, universal. We are the universal, but we are limited in the kind of the universal consciousness was poor. in a puzzle thing. So it is me. If I say I am this, I'm done. So feeling this consciousness always moving is to learn how to lead the mind out of this limit, meaning getting out of the caves of Plato. Get out. Don't fear the light, because the first sight of the light will produce fear. Some report says that at the end of the World War II, when the prisoners of some concentration camp were liberated, freed, they first run out of their prison, and then second step, they run in. Because it's a kind of confrontation of freedom with light. And all the people who used to live in the cave, they got frightened when they got out. They would get out of the cave and say, well. So we can understand this feeling. So first of all, look at the phenomenon of suffering, stop identifying ourselves to this, and learn to overcome fear. Fear is a big inheritance of the animal kingdom. They have to fear to survive. It is like this famous thing of Darwin, the survival is for the fittest. It is absolutely excellent for the animal kingdom. But it does not apply here because we are humans. We don't base our survival on fighting and on being the fittest, because we have another language when we change the plane of existence. And the plane of consciousness, we change the language. On the field of the human field, we still continue with the animal thing, fight, get more, survive. Krishnamurti also was asked about this, but sir, you taught us to do this. We send our children to wars, and our children are just small, innocent, naive things. So sent to the, what should we do? We have to survive. And another young gentleman said, I have to survive, sir. And Krishnamurti said very quietly, don't survive. Don't survive. And it makes a sense if we read the Mahachohan's only letter. He said, the big problem of the West, ours, now it is gaining the East also, because it is like an infection, is the struggle for survival. Can we learn how not to survive? Just live and not survive. Because you say survive, you have to fight. When you live, life is there, eternal for everyone. As you will come to me and say, yes, madam, but we have to eat, we have to earn money. I say, okay. Change the paradigm. And they will take care of you. They with a capital T. Don't make it a dogma. It is just a fact. If you overcome fear, everything will set. It is like in a jigsaw, like that, and everything is in a chaos. Now pause, put things, and then you will see that you have the model there to do a jigsaw. Otherwise, you cannot do it. So everything with quiet mind. The mind is always disturbing, and your action, your thinking, your relationship with people. And one of the Zen masters taught a big lesson. I'm sorry, I asked for forgiveness because I have forgotten his name. He's one of the Zen famous master. The story says that there's a discussion between some disciples in the monastery. And they are talking about the curtain moving. The first said, oh, the curtain is moving fast. And the second said, no, it is the wind blowing on it. And the master passed by and said, no, your mind is moving. Because you see, it is all in life. It is the curtain moving, the wind blowing. But if the mind is quiet, you just see the phenomenon without saying, this is moving, this is, and see and observe that your own mind is moving. When you come to this state of action, then there is hope, because it is the seeing from inside. Because we're used to see, observe everything outside, that in outside, we refuse to see. We put it under the carpet. The other day, Yanni said, under the curtain, it is carpet. I said, never mind, we have understood, but I'm having fun on it. So you put it, and it is to escape. You see something in your mind, it's just very, you put it under the, I don't want to be this. So I'm always kind, gentle, up to a certain degree. And when it is surpassed, you shout at people to get out of your anger. What is anger? We had an interesting piece of analysis in anger. You know that some parts of Buddhism, particularly the tantric part, consider anger as raw energy. It is there, use it, but don't let it use you. It is just energy. And how to use it? To use a thing, you have to master it. If you don't have the method and the understanding, you cannot use. You cannot ride a bicycle if you have not learned. So it is very simple like that. So how to use the energy of anger? Anger is like, you see, to care of a plant, flowers, you need some fertilizers. Our emotions, all of them, good, bad, all. Emotions are fertilizers of life. Well, when you should use it, but don't invent, synthesize the fertilizers as chemical firms now, because you are producing some of the artificial fertilizers that you invent, and then you do it. I cannot live without this. Well, you can live without whatever you want to get rid of. Some people say, I will not survive without eating meat. Sorry. Your reflex of survival will give you the capacity to survive without meat. If you decide not to eat it, and in the future, you can say, I will survive without eating even the plants. One of our outstanding figure in France, who used to be an admiral in the Marine, Amiral Apatou. He is one of my, I would say, tutor, sponsor, mentor. He said, you decide what you want to be, right? And he's the one who brought General de Gaulle back to France after the World War. So then, when he visited Charles de Gaulle in the presidential palace, Charles de Gaulle told his wife, Yvonne, said, don't forget the carrots of the admiral, because he's a vegetarian, being an admiral of the Marine. So you decide you will survive whatsoever. And he used to say, when the people came to him and said, sir, why do you eat still vegetables? He said, Madame, the day when I can eat stones, I will do it. And it is very, very factual in the sense that at a certain level, there are kind of cooperation between the rains, and crystals nourish plants, plants nourish, and then, but the law is that we as humans, we should not eat the people just next to us behind. You see, because the magnetism is too strong and we have to carry on all the burden of things. So then, don't be afraid of dying. Why you say, I cannot survive if I abstain from it? It means that you are afraid of dying. Yes? There are many, many fears in life. But the fear of dying is perhaps very deep and profound. Why are we so afraid of dying? If we are afraid of dying, we are now opposing our belief and certainty that we are eternal. Meaning that we are afraid of dying because we identify ourselves, our identity with the physical body. This will disappear whether you want or you don't want. This is the law of nature. It is a cycle of this. But you will return with your own skandhas made in this life. But don't be afraid. You will be back. Prepare your return rather than being in this fear. When you die, you do not disappear. No, because every action, every thinking, every affection, every good living will leave on earth an imprint, a fragrance. So stop being in fear. And if you vanquish the fear of dying, you are not destructible. I'm not sure that you share with me this because it is very strongly screwed in our ego. Now, coming to further, when I say that there are people who are so complacent in their suffering, sorrow, that they are completely identified with this, no way out, etc. We have to learn to see that everything can turn out to be an addiction. How comes any addiction? Repetition of a habit. Of course, you understand that it is not the habit of brushing your teeth. It is not an addiction. It is a need, because otherwise you will feel uncomfortable and not healthy. But the repetition of habit in the mind turn out to be an addiction. Any kind. Any kind. Make this experience at home, your home. You like coffee, you like tea. Stop drinking it during 1 week. And you will feel the body claiming for it. At what time? I want my coffee, I want my tea, I want this, I want this. And have a dialogue with it. Say, well, I decided now that you don't have it during 1 week. And keep to this. And you have learned with fun the reaction of the body claiming, crying as a good little child. Give me some. Don't leave me. Don't drop me. Okay? Addition is the repetition of a habit without consciousness. When we repeat unconsciously one thing, it turns to be addiction. It is drugs, of course. It is the lowest part. It is tea, coffee. It is not a drug. Don't tell me that you are using drug. It is not true. Huh? And everything, and the habit of suffering, the habit of identify oneself with a suffering is an addiction. Do we follow? Do we walk together? So everything is an addiction. Now, how to cure this? The word is in us. So when we cure ourselves, we cure the word. So don't ask me the question how to cure and how to hear the word. We are doing it here. Learn to see what happens in the mind, because we are following up the building up of our skandhas for the next life. whenever we see these habits set for a long time for this, and it is some habits can be maintained if it is really useful for the work, if it is not too serious. We balance. We say, well, weighing this and this, I can continue to drink some coffee to be efficient. No problem. I am a flexible person. I'm not a dogmatic person. So then make a deal in yourself, bargain in yourself and take it. And don't set up the kind of thing at 4 o'clock, I have to have my tea. And it is very, very humorous. It is for the English people with much affection and fun. There is a kind of series in cartoons, you see, the French and the English used to fight together a lot. And then the captain of the English army said, cease fire, tea time. I find it very, very funny. So be conscious, aware. The key word here is to be aware of what occurs inside. It will not make us a kind of cuckoo, living inside and then building up our words of our own, taking ourselves as an alien. Well, in fact, we are all aliens from space. We came and then but at that time we were aliens. Now we are used to the earth. They are looking and then search for aliens. So don't reject anything happening inside. You may be observing that you are really nasty. Sometimes you think about somebody's not frankly anger, but something not nice. See it, look at it and see it. Now you can apply a kind of theosophical medicine called LSD. This is to look well. To see well. Don't invent, just see. And drop. LSD. To look, to see, and to drop. Don't retain anything in the mind. Because everything you retain will hamper your capacity of understanding and receiving the universal mind, flowing everywhere. It is flowing. So if the cup is not emptied, the cup cannot receive more. And come to a certain time, we have to surpass the capacity of the cup. Saint Catherine of Siena said sometime, God told me, make yourself capacity and I will be a torrent. You can see beautiful pictures of torrents and falls yesterday. Make yourself capacity, a recipient, and God, the divine, will pour in this capacity's recipient, depending upon you, because it is everywhere. So then look inside, see keenly, and drop drastically. Don't retain anything. You say, wow, if I follow what you suggest, I am no longer alive. Be reassured, you will be. But with another quality of life, more refined, more subtle. And there, you can see things without being attached to things. You eat good food here, very nice. And when you don't have this food, you don't say, I long to have this food. I'm quite happy in my karma because this food is the food I eat at home. Thank you very much for organizers. Oh, be careful because the organizer includes me. So it does not matter much, but it is like, you see, pass on, experience things. And in the round table for the children, we have taught, experience everything and just keep the best. We have to learn the capacity of this bird picking in the water and finding the fish without drinking all the water, the salty water. This is the capacity of discrimination allied with will, Atma Buddhi. And Manas is just there to receive. Manas, making big, Atma Buddhi will pour in the intelligence and the discrimination. And we cease to be just on the level of personality. We live on the level of individuality, as we can observe when we read Mahatma letters. We know that M has his individuality printed in his style, KH also. And the only letter of Mahachohan has its own imprint of style. So the fight is always on the level of personality. If we surpass it, there's no fight. There's the fight for power, the fight for money, the fight for emotions, passions, and the thing, etc. We surpass it. On a certain level, we can look down, like when we fly on a plane. Oh, all the traffic jam there, and all the little people with a big house, and they think they are very big because they have big house, big family, big bank account. They will vanish one day. And they continue to live in this illusion that it is good work that they have done. What work? For the word. It is not a sin to set up a family. It is very good. But you have to surpass it and not stay on this level all the time. Staying on some level at the same time, it is an addiction. Referring always to the ego to act is an addiction. Referring to the ego to act is an addiction. We are all addicted. We are all addicted. Because when we do that, it is the ego expressing itself. So when we look finally inside ourselves, we can see what is not right somewhere. And we are all intelligent. Humans are intelligent because they have the flame of Buddhi, very weak or very high, but still it is burning here. So we are still, the mind is still, we will find out what is wrong, what is right. And of course, we have good parents who taught us avoid wrong things, do good things, and then sometimes it is a little bit in us as a child, it is exaggerated. There is a story I tell you, it is allowed to laugh because it is so laughable. The story says there are 3 scouts. Scouts, you see? Speak through scouts. And they have learned from the parents that do good deeds, help people, avoid wrong things. And one day, the 3 of them came back home and absolutely exhausted. And the mother said, "What happened to you?" They say, "Oh, I tried to help. It was so hard." And then the mother said, "But what have you done?" "Yes, the 3 of us tried to help an old lady to pass the road. And what? But she didn't want it." So when you help, try to sort out whether people need help or not. Otherwise, you are kind of a dictator. One can be a dictator in gentleness. You have to have a kind of dialogue, isn't it? See? Forgive me those who are too gentle in this auditorium. It is better, too gentle and not enough. Okay, so everything can be an addiction, and this tendency of the mind to identify itself comes to this tendency of the mind of grasping. You see, in the Yoga of Patanjali, you can read it in the commentary of Tammany. The mind when it is in function, it is always trying to grasp something, yeah, to grab and to grasp. And you see something beautiful, you want to get it. You have 10 watches. You see a watch in the showcase. You say, "Ah, this watch is very beautiful. I want to get it." This is the grasping trend of the mind. And this grasping tendency of the mind produces this greed. And the whole world economically is completely shadowed by this greed. The market in New York, in Paris, in London, they are eaten up by this very, very bad demon of greed. They want more, more, more. And they forgot that when they take the money more than needed, they are depriving somebody else of this money. It is an explanation very simple, that you have richer, and then you have poorer. Why? Because the poorer people, they don't have any means to fight. The money is armament itself producing. Anyhow, I am not giving a solution for this, but the core of the problem can be examined, must be examined, and when it is understood, everyone can come and give a solution, a drop of solution. This is the part of the hummingbird, very small, one drop, but it can help to extinguish the fire. But everyone has to bring this drop. Now we are on the verge of coming out of suffering. You can see, no longer, I will be involved in it. I stop to this. And what? Am I satisfied with this? They are all the brothers, sisters, and friends behind. So I have a kind of, the Atma Buddhi tells me you should do something. Of course, we cure ourselves, we heal ourselves, we have to heal the others. But then be careful. In order to save a drowning person, one has to learn to know how to swim. During this session, we have learned together how to swim. Now, if you see a drowning person, you can jump and let him out of the water, but not before, because you will drown yourself with this person. So I think that I speak too much. Stop now. Thank you for your attention.
Dear brothers and sisters, I'm sure I can speak on behalf of all of us, thanking with all our hearts, Tran-Thi-Kim-Dieu, who provided us with a lot of food for thought, a lot of to reflect upon. And I'm sure that this will be useful also for our study groups or discussion groups for that we will have soon. So thank you so much, Kim-Dieu. Thank you very much.